Hey guys, so I got a lot of questions about the settings for the Juggernaut EA, so I'm gonna make a short video. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet for you guys. I'm just gonna go over all the different settings that the Juggernaut EA has. So first of all, I have another video. If you don't know how to install the Juggernaut EA onto your MetaTrader 4 platform, just go and check that video. I explain very easy how to install the Juggernaut EA and basically all expert advisors onto your MetaTrader 4 platform. So if you haven't done that, go check that video out, do that. If you have and you just don't know how the settings work, or you have a couple of questions about some settings, I'm gonna run through all the settings, tell you guys their meanings and how you can change those and what effect they have when you change them. The next video I will create is about the strategy tester. This is this icon. This is where you can try and test each setting that you have changed and you can run it through the strategy tester based on historic price action on whatever pair you want it to basically run on, to test on, and just tweak those settings until you have the result that you want. So that's for the next video. Now I'm just gonna run through all the different settings. So I'm gonna open up a new gold chart. I'm gonna apply it to gold this time. I'm gonna choose the correct time frame. So once you have the files downloaded from our Discord group when you are a paying member, you will see in the files that you downloaded that each setting file will have a name, and in each name at the beginning is a time frame. So for example, 5-minute time frame, 15-minute time frame are the most used. So I'm going to use a 5-minute time frame. I already know that, so I'm going to put it on the right time frame already. If you don't know it, just load up your time frame, or load up, your setting file, and then you can change the time frame after it, but I prefer to do it beforehand. So I have the chart open, I have it on the right time frame. Let me go to the navigator window. I can close the market watch basically. You can see under expert advisors, if that's not visible for you, just go to expert advisors and you can see here the Juggernaut EA is right there. I'm just gonna drag and drop it into the chart and you can see the settings are now loading, or at least the settings window is opening up. First of all, we're gonna go to the common tab. We know the allow DDL imports has to be checked. Allow live trading has to be checked, otherwise the EA will not work. We can go to inputs and then we can try and change everything in here. So these are all basically the standard settings, but of course these settings will not give you the results that you want, of course. I'm not saying that they won't work. The EA will probably take trades and it will work, but it's not going to give you your desired result. First of all, if you have a window popping up saying that you need to fill in a URL, that's something that I want to show you just real quick. You go to Tools, Options, go to Expert Advisors in this tab, and here you can see, probably if you haven't done that yet, this will be turned off. All right, so check it on. Right, and then this link, you can find it in the Discord. I have shared it there. If you don't know where to find it, or if you can't find it, just DM me, I'll send you the link, and make sure to copy and paste that link in here. Just click somewhere in here and then you can see it's set over here. This has to be 100% perfect. So if you have for example, that slash at the end, if you don't have that, it will not work. So the pop-up, the error pop-up will still pop up. All right, so you need this to be 110% perfect. Okay, so then you can click OK, and that way your EA will not stop working when the error pops up. That's very important, especially if you're not around when you're just letting the EA work. It's very important, right? So now that is done, we're gonna go straight into the settings. Just right click in the chart, go to, oh, it's not loaded yet. So select the EA, drag and drop it, let go, and now we are here. Perfect. The comment tab, we had that one, right? I probably didn't click OK. So that's good. Let's go to inputs. And now what we can do is I'm gonna straight gonna go to load, right? So let's click load, It's an XAU USD file that I want. I'm gonna go to my hyperspeed settings that I shared with you guys as well. It's a prop firm account. It's a brand new 100K account. I'm gonna just select the low risk files just for example purposes. And basically we can run through everything. So we can see it's a Juggernaut EA. We can see the display settings. So what are the display settings? It's basically gonna be the little small screen that you will see right over here once we click OK. Let me just click OK so that you can see what I mean. This pop-up that's not a problem. It's just an alert that's saying, hey, you've clicked OK. The EA should work, but because auto trading is turned off, it's saying it's not allowed to trade. Okay, so for now, we don't want it to trade yet because our settings are not set as we want. This little window just gives you the information about how your settings are at this moment. The most important settings, of course, not all of them. So let's go and change them. Right click, expert advisors, properties, and let's change some settings and let's go over them and tell you guys what they mean. So of course, this light gray, if this is gonna, probably in the beginning when you have a default setting, this is black, and then you cannot see anything because this window will be black and your text is black as well. So then you cannot see or read anything. I changed it to light gray. If you want this to be orange or whatever color you want, you can do that, of course. I just made mine green, gray. So do you want to display the info? Yes, of course. Display background, true. You can turn that off, turn that on, doesn't matter, right? The EA will not work differently. So this one, very important, max trades and hard stop loss. So basically max buy trades, I disabled it. So if you put 0, it's disabled. Max sell trades, disabled that as well. But that means basically if you put 5, for example, and it will start putting buy orders. Once it has reached 5 buy orders, it will not put on a 6th or a 7th buy order. So it will stop putting new orders once it has reached this number. For me, I'm just gonna leave it at 0. Same for sell orders. Hard stop loss in pips can come in handy. I'm not a fan of using it, but I have used it before. It's yeah, of course, it's your stop loss. It's in points, so be very careful. 10 points is 1 pip. So if you want your take profit to be 50 pips, you need to put 500 here, right? So if you put 500 here, that equals 50 pips, right? For now, I'm gonna put it back to 0 because I just don't want this to be on right now. Oh, I see that little error pop-up is right over here. It was on my other screen, so that's the pop-up I was just talking about. So for now, we can click OK. It shouldn't pop up anymore because that's OK now. Anyway, let's continue. Manual. So do you want manual orders? For me, I don't want manual orders mixed with the EA orders. But if you do want to, you can always put on manual orders. Even when this is at false, you can always put on orders manually. But if this is turned on, it will calculate your manual order into the algorithm of the EA, which is dangerous to do in my opinion. So I leave this at false, but it's something that you can play around with, of course. Open new orders. We want this to be true, of course, otherwise the EA is not gonna work. Enable grid, yes, very important. This needs to be on true. So just to give you an explanation, guys, about settings, this is not only about this EA, but everything that is false is basically turned off. When you put something to true, it's turned on. So if you want this to be working, it needs to be on true. If you don't want it to work, it needs to be on false. Of course, this needs to be on true. Enable grid, very important. We will come to that in a second, why the grid is important. Close all orders now. We don't have any open orders. I never use this, but basically it can come in handy if you have a lot of orders open and you really want to close them for one reason or another and you want to close them all. You just go to true and press OK and it will close all your orders. Of course, it's usually not the best thing to do, but sometimes it can come in handy. Engine, enable engine A. For buy orders, enable engine B. For sell orders, yes, that needs to be on. What this basically does is every buy order will get a magic number and every sell order will get a magic number as well. It's just basically something that the broker sees. You can see it as well, but it's usually the broker who has an advantage to that. It's the best thing to turn it on, and if you're doing a prop firm challenge, I really highly recommend you to change this number every single time you turn on the EA. All right, so let's assume we're gonna turn on the EA. We need to change this number, and it has to be a number between 4 and 6 digits, right? So I'm just gonna choose 4 digits for now. It can be very random. I always choose something random, right? And it's 4 numbers. Maybe it's better to turn it to type 6 numbers, because then it's even more difficult, right? But basically, this prevents the broker to think that you're copy trading from someone else. If we all have the same magic number, then the EA or the broker will think we're not using an EA, but we are copy trading from each other. And that's the only thing that prop firms is not allowing, right? Prop firms are not allowing us to copy trade from each other. They are allowing to use EAs, but they are not allowing copy trading. So that's why it's very important to change this number every time, or as much as possible, because then that will prevent them to think that we are copy trading from each other, right? So usually I use 6 digits. I'm gonna add 2 more, right, like that. I think that's the safest thing to do. So let's continue. So remember always to do that. If you're not using a prop firm challenge or not doing a challenge like that for my Forex funds or FTMO, for example, then that's not that important to do, but still try to change it up sometimes. So the lot mode, this is gonna be the most important part. So right over here is basically where you change how the EA is working, how it's putting on new orders. So for me, lot mode is always on fixed lot. You can put it to percent lot as well, but then you don't really know what lot it's gonna start with or how it's gonna work. So if you use fixed lot, you always know it's gonna start with the lot that you set it to. So the fixed lot for me is gonna be 0.02. What that means is the fixed lot is the lot size your first trade will be, just like that, right? So for me, my first trade will open as a 0.02 lot, right? The next lot is gonna be dependent on what type of grid I'm using, right? So we can change that to something else, all right? I'm gonna go over that in a second. But basically, our starting lot is gonna be 0.02, which is important. If you're using percent lot right over here, then this is gonna be important, right? But you can play around with that, but I always use fixed lot. Then we have take profit in pips. It's not really in pips because it changes when you change your time frame, so be aware of that. How I explain this to people is when you have a very small little cartoon figure, for example, and it takes 50 steps, it's 50 steps, right? It's a certain amount of distance. But when you take a bigger cartoon, the same cartoon figure or character, but bigger, and I'm referring to the bigger time frame, then the same 50 steps will be much more distance, right? And that's how I explain it. So don't count in pips, just count in steps. It goes the same for step size in pips. Again, it's just the step size. So these two are very important, and they basically go a little bit hand in hand. So of course your take profit, that's the distance your take profit will be from where the entry is. All right, so if it opens a sell order right over here, your take profit, for example, will be here. If you change it to 100, your take profit will be twice as far, and it will be somewhere over here, right? So that's how it works. It works the same way when you're using the step size. So the step size is basically the distance between new orders. So if it's putting on a new sell order here, and it's putting on, it's going into drawdown, it's putting on a new sell order, it's going into drawdown, it's putting on a new sell order, it's going more into drawdown, it's putting on a new sell order, and so on, right? The smaller this number, the closer the new orders will be against each other. The bigger this number, so if this goes to 120, your orders will be much further away. It's of course safer, but you will have less orders. It's safer that way. Of course, you want your profits to be big as well. So don't. It all depends on how far are you gonna put your take profit. What's your account size? And things like that. What type of strategy are you using? Are you using Martingale? Martingale strategy is a very known strategy. It's a little bit more risky, but we can change the Martingale with the grid increment factor. So let me explain Martingale and how it works. So Martingale, it's the name of the guy who invented this strategy. Martingale works like this. So the first order will be 0.01. The second order, when it goes into drawdown, will be 0.02. The third order will be 0.04, 0.08, 0.16, 0.32, 0.64, 1.28, and so on, right? It goes pretty fast. It's doubling each time. But for us, it's not doubling each time. If we use the grid increment factor, you can see between brackets, if Martingale, so if we are using Martingale, this is relevant. So right now it's at 0.01, and that means that it's not doubling, but it's increasing with a coefficient of 0.01. So basically it's not doubling, it's going very, very slow. If you put this at 2, then it will double each time, right? For me, I like it pretty low. Something like that. You can use this as well. How it will work like this is it will open a 0.02 because that's our starting lot, our fixed lot. And our next lot will be, for example, another 0.02 and another 0.02. And then finally it will go to 0.03, 0.03, 0.04, 0.04, 0.06, 0.06, 0.08, etc. So it will keep putting on a few times the same order size, before it increases the order size. Now, the bigger this number, the faster it will increase the order size. The lower this number, like that, for example, the slower the order size will basically grow. So again, if this is very big, your take profit will be very far away. If this is very small, your take profit will be super, super close to your entry. The step size is the distance between the new orders. So if you put this very, very small, it will open orders very, very fast after each other. So one order, second order, third order, fourth order, and that way your lot size can increase very fast, and your drawdown can increase very fast as well. So don't underestimate the power of a 0.02 order. It might be very, very low. Some guys tell me straight away, hey, shouldn't I double this or triple this? And I'm telling them, no, just try it out first before doubling or tripling or quadrupling this, because it's not as low as you think. Especially on gold, it's pretty high. Especially when you're using Martingale with a big increment factor, it can go pretty fast. So to start out, first of all, use a demo account, right? And just go slow. And you can always increase, right? So that's that. Of course, we can use something else as well. We can use fixed start lot. So basically you can see how that works. It will always use the same lot size. In our case, that's a 0.02. That's, in my opinion, one of the safest settings that you can use between those four. Some start lot, every time it will add, your fixed lots onto the new lot. So it will start with a 0.02, then it will be a 0.04, 0.06, 0.08, 0.10, 0.12, 0.14, etc. Right? That's how sum start works. Then Martingale, we explained that. That's dependent on the increment factor right over here. And then you have the step lot, which is very dependent on the step lot here. So it will work like this. We are starting with a 0.02, so it will put a 0.02 4 times and then it will increase. Okay, so I rarely use step size and sum lot. I usually use Martingale or fixed lot, but it's totally up to you. They work pretty fine as well. I have some guys in the Discord who are using this, so go ahead and play around with those and see how they work for you. Also guys, in the meanwhile, if you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. And if you like this video, of course, please like it and put a comment down below. Thank you for that. Let's continue. We have the max lot, which is a very important one, and usually it's misunderstood. So how a lot of guys think this works is when you finally reach your 1.15 in this case lot size, it will stop placing new orders. No, that's not correct, right? If you are starting with 0.02 and it's increasing and increasing and increasing until you finally reach that, let me change that to 0. Oops. Let me change that to 0.75, for example, right? Once it has reached an order that is that has lot size of 0.75, basically the next order will be 0.75 again, and the next order will be 0.75 again. It will keep putting on new orders with the same lot size, this one, right? Until it hits a pullback and then hits your TP, and then it will start all over again from that 0.02 lot size. I hope that makes sense. The lower this is, the safer it is, the higher it is, the more risky, but the more profits you will gain, of course, as well. A little bit the same as here. The lower this is, the faster you will put on new orders, but the more risk there is involved, of course. So let's continue. That's not really important. I'm just gonna go over the most important settings for you guys, because I do want to keep this video short and sweet. So let's continue. Filter on 1 candles, we're not going to use that. Close, minimal profit close, you can turn that on. I'm not really using that, but you can turn that on. For example, yes, I want to enable it, and I want my minimal profits to be $20. So it's not going to close your trades if it's not reaching $20 in profit. Okay, that's how this works. For me, it's not relevant. It doesn't have to be on. So let's close that. I'm just gonna put 0. Hedging, not gonna use that either. Then here we have the daily target in money. So the daily target in money is very simple. If you have trades running and they are closing into profit around 500, and then you have another 300, and then you have, so these trades are closed, so you have already 800 in profit, and then you have, for example, another set of trades open, and finally they are reaching $200 in profit, but they are not closed yet. Then the EA will close those automatically because you filled in 1,000 right over here, and your daily target is set at 1,000. So once it has reached that 1,000, even in equity, it will close those trades and it will bank those profits. Moving averages, not going to use that, not going to explain too much about that. It's one of the reasons or one of the signals how the EA works. High-low, also the same thing. If you want the EA to open trades faster, just lower this number. It's the moving average. If you increase the number, it will start with opening trades a little bit slower. Other than that, I wouldn't change those because that's really messing around with the EA itself and not really with the performance settings. Then we have a trailing stop. I hope you know what a trailing stop is. It's a stop loss that moves with your profit, right? So if you want it to turn on, you can turn it on. Trailing start. So when does the trailing stop loss has to be activated? For here it is when it's 10 pips in profit, it needs to be activated. How far does it need to stay away from price? 100 pips, right? You can change that up, of course, but usually I don't use that. Then you have the same thing for the break even. Do you want to use the break even? Yes. When does the break even needs to be activated? When price is, or when your equity is 10 pips, excuse me, when price is 10 pips in profit, then the EA will activate a break even setting, a break even stop loss. And how close does it need to be, or how close does it need to move your stop loss to your entry? Here it's at 10 pips. You can move this to 1 pip, and then it will, that's the closest to break even that you can move your stop loss, of course. So that's something that you can use. Then we have the equity stop, which is very important. But the other ones here, the equity caution and the equity stop, are more important. This is for take profit. So do you want to use it? Yes or no? Again, everything that's false is no. Everything that is true is yes, right? So here we are not using that. But how this works is close all orders once float hits dollar amount. So for example, if we put this to a 500, that means if your open trades hit 500 profit, then it will close all trades to bank those 500 in profit. It's a little bit different from daily target in money, because here it also calculates your balance. It's calculating the total amount that you have gained that day. Here it's only calculating your open trades. So that works very nice as well. Don't put it too low, don't put it too high either. Just see for yourself what you are happy with. Then here you have your max spread in pips. That's set on 2,400 points for me. It's in pips here, so basically that's wrong. It's in points. So what that means is here we can see the spread. So gold has a spread of let's say 17, 16, 18, 20 pips, something like that. So basically that's 200 points. 1 pip is 10 points, right? So basically if I would put this to 240, it would work as well. The only thing is when the spread increases, sometimes it does increase when when there's a new session coming up, or when there is news coming up, or sometimes spread can widen, sometimes spread narrows down as well. We just want this to be big enough because we want the EA to take trades all the time. All right, we don't want to have the EA not taking trades. So I just put this at 2,400. That's more than big enough. Equity caution, so that's a very important one. The equity caution, we want this to be on, right? Total percent risk to equity caution. What this means is when you're, this is at 3%, 3.5%, I'm going to move it to 2%, right? So this is percent. This means is if your equity, so your open trades, are 2% in drawdown, so 2% in negative, then it will stop taking new trades. It will not close your open trades, but it will stop putting on new orders, which can come in handy to reduce your risk. So let's say, let's keep that at 2%. The time frame as equity caution, the 1 day, right? You can change that if you want to smaller time frame, but for me, a 1 day is the most relevant, especially if you're doing prop firm challenges. Keep this at 1 day. Your equity stop then is more aggressive. This is more important basically. So use equity stop is on true. So yes, we want to use it. We want this to be active. What does that mean? Total percent risk to equity stop. It's at 3.5%. I do need to explain a little bit more about this. So basically that means is if your equity is 3.5% in drawdown, so 3.5% in negative, it will close all trades. That's very clear, right? But it's not closing trades all at once. It's closing your trades one by one. So it's closing one, it's closing another, it's closing another, it's closing another, right? And it's not that fast. Like when you have a hard stop loss and it reaches that stop loss, it's closing everything. The same when you have a TP here, right? And it hits that TP, all trades are closing at the same time because they all have the same TP. When you're using an equity stop, it's closing trade by trade. And that way, you can go a little bit more into drawdown, and your balance could be affected negatively more than 3.5% or less than 3.5%. What do I mean by that? If your price is going down, and let's say here is 3.5%, it starts closing trades, but price keeps dropping pretty fast, then you can go into drawdown more, and by the time every trade is closed out, price is maybe right over here, and you are in drawdown more than 3.5%, or your balance took a hit that was bigger than 3.5%. That's possible, but the same thing can happen the other way around as well. If let's say 3.5% is here and it activates the risk to equity stop, so the equity stop gets triggered, it starts closing out trades, but now price is pulling back. So by the time that all trades are closed, price is here, and so you only took a hit of 2.8%, for example, right? So I hope that makes sense. It's closing trades very slowly, so you can put this at 4%, but I wouldn't put this, for example, at 4.8, because then, especially when you're doing a prop firm challenge, when you're doing your own capital or something else, it doesn't really matter, right? I sometimes put this at 50, 60, 70% because I'm prepared to go into drawdown that much. I know the EA will recover itself. But when you're doing a funded challenge, a prop firm challenge, you need to stick to certain rules. For example, you cannot go more than 5% into drawdown per day. So when you're putting this at 4.8%, you are at risk that you will cross that 5% benchmark. So I wouldn't go more than 4% because you can still go to 4.2, 4.3, 4.5, right? So be very careful, don't push it too much. Send alert to seller. What this means is you can turn this to on, right? And this will enable notifications. It will send notifications to your mobile phone. Now, how can you do that? Let me just press OK just for a second. Oh, I know I get this alert because auto trading is not on. But when you go to tools, options, and you go to notifications right over here, and you enable push notifications, you can see that the MetaQuotes ID is basically an ID that you can find onto your MetaTrader mobile phone, right? Or your mobile app. So when you go to your app and you go to settings, I think this is just from the top of my mind. If you go to settings and you go to messages and community, something like that, you can see at the bottom probably, especially when you're using an iPhone, you can see at the bottom your MetaQuotes ID. So you just copy and paste, or you just type this over into this text field, and you can press text. You probably get a notification on your MetaTrader application on your phone, and you can just press OK. That way it's activated, and whenever you get a notification about a stop loss or a take profit or anything, you will get notified on your phone. Personally, I don't use it, but it can come in handy if you don't have a lot of time to sit behind your desk. So let's go back to the properties. And let's continue with those settings, right? So this, again, I'm going to turn it off because for me, it doesn't hold a lot of value. Close all orders in total equity risk. This is a very important one. Even when this one is turned on, use the equity stop. We have selected how much percent it can maximum go into drawdown before it closes all orders. This one needs to be turned on as well. Otherwise, you will just get a notification that it wants to close orders, but it's not closing orders automatically. So this really needs to be turned on if you want the EA to close those trades because you hit your maximum drawdown. Then you have remove EA and close chart to equity stop loss or stop closes trades Excuse me, that was a strange sentence. Anyway, this is a pretty important setting as well. If it's turned on to true, as it is right now, it will just close your gold chart, it will remove the EA, and it won't do anything else after it closes all trades. If it's to false, so if you disable this function, what it will do is it will close all your trades because you hit your maximum amount of drawdown, but then it will just restart with taking trades, and it will restart with just working as you set it up. But then it becomes dangerous because you already hit your maximum drawdown, and when you go into drawdown again, you can reach your maximum drawdown, especially when you're using a funded account. This becomes very dangerous, right? So you want this to be turned on all the time as well, unless you're using the strategy tester, and when you're using the strategy tester, you want this to turn to false, but that's something else, right? That's for the next video. So let's continue with the news filters. So of course, this is pretty self-explanatory. Do you want to use the news filters? Yes, so true. Close trades during the news. No, I don't want my EA to close trades, because when you're in a lot of drawdown, you don't want it to close trades, okay? You want to close those trades manually, or wait until the EA closes all those trades in profit, then turn your EA off if you want to stop trading during news. Otherwise, just keep it at off, leave your trades open, but just prevent your EA to take new trades during news. So that's what we are doing right now. Scan for low impact news, that's not important for me. Scan for medium impact news, that's not important for me either. By the way, it's taking news from investing.com, so that's a very reliable website. Don't worry about that. For me, it only has to scan for high impact news, like inflation numbers, like growth numbers, GDP, or labor numbers, anything like that. And then we have also a filter for NFP news, which is also a highly volatile data point that can come out every first Friday of the month, of course. So I have it turned on for high impact news, turned on for NFP, which is also high impact news. And I don't want it to take new trades 20 minutes before and 20 minutes after each data point, right? So let's say NFP comes out at 2 p.m. my time, then it will not take trades 20 minutes before 2 p.m. and 20 minutes behind or after 2 p.m. Right, I hope that makes sense. Otherwise, there's not much to it. And then the last big or important filter that can come in handy a lot is basically the time filter, right? So the time filter, do you want to utilize the time filter? Yes, I want to use the time filter, so that needs to be turned on. On what days do you want the time filter to be active? I want it to be active on all days. So let's turn everything to true. Okay, and now we need to set the times that we want it to start and stop. Just to be honest, I'm never letting my EA stop trades or close trades automatically. I always turn off my EA manually, so I leave this at 000. By the way, this is always going to be military time. Always use this method to put in the time. Now, what time do I want my trades to start? Usually I like my trades to start around 3 p.m. at night, so I'm in bed then, but I just fill in 3 or 3:30 like that, okay? And basically what that does is, even when I press OK now and I turn this to auto trading, it will not take trades until it's 3 p.m. and then it will start taking trades until I turn it off and turn it on again for the next day. All right, so that's how it works. For now, I'm just gonna leave it at 000. So let me copy this and paste it here, right? I'm gonna leave it off right now because I do wanna test something with you guys. So if I press OK right now, so I hope all settings were clear so far. If I press OK right now, it will tell me not trade allowed. Okay, we know that because auto trading is still turned off. So when I press this, this red little button will turn to green, and this sad face will basically be a happy smiley face, right? And then we know the EA is working. So let's press this. We can see the smiley face is smiling, right? So now the EA is working. Of course, it will take a few minutes, few minutes probably before the first trade is taken. So what we can do, just to show you guys how the EA is working, I'm gonna skip the 5-minute time frame. So let me turn this off. I'm gonna go to 1-minute time frame just to increase the speed. And I'm going to go to Expert Advisors, Properties. And what I can do is I can decrease the step size. So when I decrease the step size, remember, it will open trades much faster and closer to each other. So for example, when I move this to 5, for example, which is extremely fast, right? And I move this to 10, which is also a TP, a take profit that is very close, very nearby. So it will hit my TP very soon. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, right? I don't wanna get it, I don't wanna hit my TP too fast because then my profits will be too low, right? I'm gonna, just for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna increase this to 1.5. So you can see how my lot sizes will increase when I use Martingale with an increment factor of 1.5. So let's click OK. Let's click OK. Let's start the EA. And now you'll see the trades will open pretty fast, probably. So let's take a look and wait a little bit and see how the EA works and how it's opening trades. If you have any questions, guys, drop something in the comments below, or you can join the Discord. Feel free to join the Discord, which is, the link is in the description below. Of course, price needs to move to start taking trades, but it shouldn't take very long, especially on the 1-minute time frame. It opens trades very fast, especially with the small step size and the small TP that we have just used. I wouldn't recommend those settings, but the settings that I have created for you guys and which you can download in the Discord, they are pretty safe and they yield pretty good results. You can check out the results in the results chat in the Discord as well. Not only from me, but for all the guys who are using the EA. Here we can see your total equity risk is 4%, your equity caution is at 2%, your increment or exponent factor is at 1.5. Why is it? It's pips. That's not correct, right? Your daily target is 1000. Your max spread is 2400. Your grid size is 5 pips, which is extremely low. Your take profit is 20 pips, which is also pretty low. So yeah, basically it should start taking trades now. But of course, it's not really moving. If we have a move like that, it would open like 10 or 20 trades. So we need to be a little bit patient. In the meanwhile, I'm gonna double check the settings, see if I haven't forgot anything. Let me turn this off just for a second. Maybe that's why. It should take trades. I'm just gonna load up my settings again, just the settings that I have. Hyperspeed, shared one, 100k account, low risk, and I'm just gonna use this to like 8, something like that. I'm going to use this or put this to 25, and now it should start opening trades. I'm going to increase this just to show you guys. All right, let's see. If it's not opening trades, then it's something else that's going on. Of course, it has to meet all criteria to open a trade, which you are not seeing. That's in the code. There it is. First trade just opened with a 0.02 lot. It has no stop loss because we are using an equity stop. All right. It has its TP set at 17.18, which you can see right over here. And when it's going into drawdown, because this is a sell order, so basically to go into profit, it needs to go down. If it goes up even more, as you can see right now, it's opening another order. And you can see how it's increasing its order size because we are using the Martingale strategy, or we selected the Martingale method in the settings, and we're using an increment factor of 1.6, which is pretty high. So it's almost doubling the order size every new order. You can see the orders are pretty close to each other. That's because we are using 8 pips grid size. That's pretty close, and that's very aggressive, right? So if it's moving very fast, you will have a lot of orders. You will go into drawdown a lot faster than when it's at 80, for example, right? Your TP is moving every time a new order is opening. Your TP is moving, as you can see. So, of course, you can see it's increasing very fast. I told you guys about that. It's too much. It's going too fast. But just to show you guys, you will see you will need a less of a pullback to have profit with that type of method, right? You can see your profit right over here, or your loss, and we just banked like $35, right? So it can go very fast. Be careful with these settings. I turned it off right now. So that's the video about the settings, guys. If you have any questions, again, let me know and I'll try to cover that as well. The next video will be about the strategy tester, how you can use these settings, how you can test these settings, and see with a graph, see a report about the drawdown, the profit, the amount of trades that you won, the amount of trades that you lost, etc. So that's for the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye and ciao ciao.